for them in today's race.
What is up, guys, and welcome to my very first gameplay video of F1 22. Big thanks to EA and Codemasters for allowing me to film the game early. So, as is the case with an early build of the game, a lot of the car models, a lot of the game isn't finished, essentially. So, it's a work in progress, a lot of bugs, nothing's overly finalized, so take what you see today with a pinch of salt. So in today's video, I'll be showcasing the Miami Grand Prix, giving you guys my first impressions, and we're going to do some gameplay of the race, some sprint race action, and all sorts. So what you're seeing right on screen now is my very first meters on the game, and straight away the first thing I noticed was how sketchy these cars are with no traction control. Yeah, I did a lot of that in my short time playing this game, and you guys will as well. It really is quite the learning curve. The curbs are a lot more brutal as well. You really have to pick and choose and really get the angle right, because the cars don't seem to like riding them as much compared to F1 2021. So yeah, being very modular with the old throttle pedal is probably my best advice I can give you guys heading into this year's game. Now, let's go for one of my better laps around the Miami GP circuit so you guys can see exactly what it looks like and see the behavior of the car. So heading down into turn 1, you can notice I'm using 4th gear just to minimize the wheel spin. If you use 3rd, or if you don't short shift out of those lower gears, then you're in trouble. Particularly turn 2 and 3, the curves there are pretty bad. Even here, don't touch the curb on the right-hand side too much. And then the left, you really have to get the angle right. A lot of understeer in these cars. As you can see, I'm balancing throttle and brake to pivot the car around the corner. You can see we just overstepped the mark with a bit of oversteer, up by 1/10.5 as we head through the middle sector along this windy straight. Not a lot of time to relax over the course of the lap. You can see I'm just shortcutting the straight as much as possible. You guys know I love my corner cuts. Now, this part of the track gets very technical, especially this right-hander coming up. As soon as you hit this apex, you're basically braking now. Turn in, keep a nice tight line, short shift to 5th to not spin out. You can go flat through there, but you have to use 5th gear to not spin for some reason. Into this very tight left-hander. There's going to be some dive bombs there this weekend, but it's a real bravery corner, I've found. There's a lot of time to be found, and I think still, for me, a lot of time still to find over the course of this lap compared to the best of the best. But it's a very tight track. You're flying underneath highways and underpasses, flying past the stadium. A lot of tight corners, a lot of blind apexes, not a lot of margin for error, and that right there is a hot lap of the new Miami GP circuit.
That last lap was a 1:28.2.
Hello. That doesn't sound like Jeff. That does not sound like Jeff at all. I wonder who that is. Well, I do know who it is, but I want you guys to guess in the comments. Let me know. Winner gets a cookie. But it's very interesting to see that they changed up the audio with the engineer. I think I got very sick of hearing Jeff's voice, so it's nice to have a change. Anyway, speaking of change, we're now going to change it up and do a sprint race weekend, which is a new feature for F1 22. Sprint formats are now a thing in Formula 1, so you can do it in the game as well. We also have the choice to enable pit stop and formation lap safety car experiences between broadcast or immersive. So basically, if you want, as a casual player, to have a cutscene under safety car or formation lap, you can do so. Or alternatively, you can drive the formation lap and park in your pit box. More on that in a second. But we run through qualifying. We want to start at the back in the Ferrari and see how far up the grid we can get in a sprint.
The stage is set and the curtain is rising for another Formula One Grand Prix. We're expecting close fights up and down the field today, so hold on tight, we're moments away from lights out.
Okay, so here we go. Early gameplay for me. I was actually a lot less prepared for this race, so my driving is going to be worse than that hot lap. But I think that's what we want to see. We want to see mistakes, and we want to see lively things happen. 5-lap race, we're going to underfuel a little bit, and we're going to head into the formation lap. This is the broadcast style first. So let's see what that's about.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? But we'll soon find out.
Personally, I do like the broadcast style formation lap. I'm actually going to run this in career mode, I believe, because I think it adds that extra little cinematic experience before you start the Grand Prix, gives you predicted strategy. I just think it feels a lot more like a Formula One weekend, and it builds the tension, the anticipation of getting a Grand Prix underway. So I really like that. Here is what it looks like when we actually drive the formation lap for ourselves. You actually have to park in your grid slot, and well, you have to get it right, otherwise you're in trouble. So don't be an idiot like me. Park in the right spot, park straight, and you'll be all right. We got reset the track, so that's what happens when you stuff it up. So here we go, ready for our first sprint race on the F1 22 game, and we are underway from the back of the grid. A lot of wheel spin off the start there. First race start in the books, and it was not a good one. Thankfully, the AI got together, got in trouble, and were able to well, bring me back closer to the pack, because these guys were really fast in this race. I was an absolute noob out there. Got a bit of damage, so we decided to change that. This is the Immersive Pit Stop. You have to turn in for your pit stop. I got it wrong, so the pit stop ends up being slower if you get the timing wrong. So that's really, really cool. Alternatively, if you don't want to do the Immersive Pit Stop, then you can have a broadcast style pit stop where it's a cutscene and it does it for you. So the choice is really up to you guys, and I like that they're adding these extra customization bits in to really tailor it to the experience that you want to get out of the Formula One game. So this is now the broadcast safety car. Seeing what that was like, we got some cutscenes, and we got back underway. Unfortunately, I was a bit slow in this race. This was at a point where I'd only had about an hour's game time. I was still learning things, but I didn't need to learn how to do an overtake, as we got the inside of Latifi. Maybe Ricciardo with a massive lock up on the outside in that McLaren, and we get the job done. But unfortunately, wheel spin comes back to bite me. Yeah. It's easily forgotten how powerful these Formula One cars are, especially on this game. I'm playing on a wheel with no assists, fairly high AI level, but not maxed out. I'm still learning the game. I thought it was very important to show you guys my first steps on this game. I mean, it's hard to learn. It's hard to gauge what the game is like when you watch me play when I'm fully up to speed, because you get to see my natural reaction to the game's handling model, to everything, really. It is very understeery. The cars are a bit of a handful this year, as you can tell by the mistakes I am making, as we got the inside of Gasly and Vettel. That was a massive dive bomb. I wouldn't read too much into the AI at this early stage. They're not fully perfected yet. Game not finished, of course, but at times, they do like to defend the inside. There was a nice clip that you saw at the start of the video where I think it was Sergio Perez was really defending hard up to the white line, up to the barrier to stop me from going past. So that was an encouraging bit of gameplay. But anyway, we move on to another race, which I decided to do. And this is the one where I had a good little battle with Sergio Perez and other people. Got off to a better start. I was a bit more up to speed in this race, though I am getting overtaken by a Haas in a Mercedes, so that's not great. We do a nice little switchback here on Magnussen to get ourselves back up in a P4. But later on in the race, the rain was coming down, and I decided to take a punt. I went on to intermediate tyres when the track was still largely dry. But unfortunately, because of the broadcast safety car, the game has brought me into the pit lane to change back to dry tires right as it's going to intermediate conditions. So I think that's, if anything, that's an early fault with the broadcast mode. It has taken over my pit strategy for me, and it's actually ruined my race. So hopefully in the full game that is fixed. But apart from that, I like what I see so far with F1 22. A lot of AI mistakes, a lot of mistakes from myself. The cars are very hard to drive this year. I hope that the AI mistakes stay in the full version of the game. Of course, a lot can change, but that is my early impressions. Miami, very, very difficult to drive, very tight circuit, hard for overtaking. That hairpin at the end of the long straight towards the end of the lap is your best bet for overtaking. But these 22 cars are a beast. I can't wait to drive them more. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, and I'll see you guys in a few days for more gameplay.